back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Hugh Freeze, the Auburn Tigers, specifically on the offensive side of the football, have a disaster against Cal Saturday at home. It's most frustrating for myself, and I'm sure a lot of Auburn fans, because we looked at this Auburn offense and said, a lot of us were fired up about what this new look Auburn offense could be with all the talent that was going to be around Payton Thorne. And we saw that in the first drive against Cal. We saw it all game against Alabama A&M. And then after the first drive, it just felt like we were back in 2023 again. And I think there's a couple of different conversations you got to have. One is Payton Thorne the answer at quarterback for Auburn. I want to address that first. And I think secondly, talk about what we saw from the Auburn offense as a whole. I've watched this game 3 separate times now since Saturday afternoon, and I get even more and more confused every single time I watch this football game. So I want to get into that as well. Now, before we do, and as always, to the Auburn fans, one, y'all continue to show a ton of support to the boys. I can't thank y'all enough. It's been really fun talking this Auburn program. Today's not going to be one of those days, but I can't thank you guys enough for all the support y'all have shown. Would love for you guys to let it fly in the comment section. I'm sure there's a lot of frustration, but more importantly, I would like to hear your takes on the quarterback position and where Auburn should go moving forward, because I think I'm going to learn a lot from you guys in the comment section. So let it fly. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And without further ado, let's get into it. And let's start with the performance from Payton Thorne. I think where the frustration lies is Auburn has put a lot of resources into surrounding Payton Thorne with football players that he can have success with. And many of you guys who've been rocking with the boys for the last 12 months know I was kind of a Payton Thorne defender from 2023 because he just didn't have the offensive talent around him to really compete at the highest level in the SEC. Look, we know Payton Thorne's not going to be a Cam Newton and do it all himself. We certainly know that. But we kind of felt that if you put enough talent around Payton Thorne, he can have some successful seasons and he can play some winning football. We just did not see that from Payton Thorne Saturday afternoon, right? 14 to 27, a buck 65, 4 interceptions to only 1 touchdown. That's losing football every single day of the week. Now, we're going to get into some of the questions I have about this Auburn offense as a whole from a schematic and kind of a scheme standpoint. But at the end of the day, I think it falls on Payton Thorne. You cannot turn the football over 4 times. You cannot be that anemic on offense for the last 3 quarters of that football game. If I'm Auburn, I'm going to Hank Brown. And why I'm going to Hank Brown is, one, Payton Thorne's done after this season. And you look at Auburn, we said this 3 months ago. We said this 3 weeks ago heading into 2024. I think this Auburn team from a roster standpoint is massively improved. I expected Auburn to be a much better football team than they were in 2023, but it was always 2025 what we were looking at. You know what I mean? What Hugh Freeze is doing with the talent of this roster, it is building to 2025 and 2026. I think we all knew that. We thought Auburn would be better in 2024. We thought they'd win probably 7, 8, 9 ball games, but we didn't think they were competing for national championship or an SEC championship. The roster's not quite there. If I'm Hugh Freeze and I'm looking at this program and where this program is going, I am leaning into the future of this program. And I think it gives Hugh Freeze a chance to figure out if Hank Brown or potentially Walker White are going to be the guys for Auburn in 2025 that you can win at a high level with. You got to get this answer during 2024, because when you finish up 2024 and you're trying to decide what you want to do in the transfer portal, you want to know if Walker White is a guy, or Walker White, Hank Brown, whoever it may be, probably Hank Brown. You want to know if Hank Brown's a guy that you can win at a very high level with in 2025. And if he's not, you go to the transfer portal and get a quarterback, because I look at this Auburn team. I look at the amount of talent that's on this team, both on offense and defense, the young talent that's on this team. This team is going to be SEC championship caliber in 2025 if they can figure out the quarterback position. Now, that is contingent on, is Hank Brown going to be the guy? Is Walker White going to be the guy? Are we going to need to go to the transfer portal? This is Hugh Freeze's opportunity to understand if he has a quarterback on this roster right now that if they can win with, or are they going to have to go into the transfer portal in December and go grab a quarterback? If I'm Hugh Freeze, we kind of know what Payton Thorne is. You could start Payton Thorne, probably win 7 football games. You probably can win 7 football games with Hank Brown as well. But I'm trying to figure out who the quarterback is for 2025, and the only way to do that is to get Hank Brown some work in 2024 and see if he can be a guy in 2025. So that's my take on the quarterback situation. Payton Thorne, again, I less than 4 days ago, I was a guy that, hey, Payton Thorne can win you 8 football games. I'm sitting here after that performance and I don't know if he can. And even if he can win 7, 8 football games, you still want to figure out who's your guy in 2025. You have to play Hank Brown or Walker White to figure that out. So that's kind of my take. I'd like to see Hank Brown kind of going forward for Auburn. Now, in terms of what we saw on the offensive side of the football, we talked about the verticality of this Auburn team and how it's going to open up this Auburn offense. We saw that on against Cal. Like, they were leaving 2 safeties high. They were trying to take away the vertical threat of this Auburn team. But we said, why is that so important for this Auburn offense? Is because it's going to open up the short underneath stuff. It's going to open up the run game. But Auburn didn't go to that type of thing. They just kept wanting to stretch the ball vertically down the field when Cal was trying to take that away. The whole purpose of bringing in a guy like Cam Coleman and why he was going to bring so much value is if Cal were to play single high safeties and kind of walk guys into the box and stop the run and stop the short and intermediate stuff, you can make him pay with a guy like Cam Coleman. But if they're going to take Cam Coleman away, you have to have other elements of this offense that you can operate with. It was there. And you look at Jarquez Hunter, 12 carries, 68 yards, average almost 6 yards per carry. Jarquez Hunter only having 12 carries, I think, is a crime. I mean, the best thing about this Auburn offense on Saturday afternoon was what Jarquez Hunter was doing in the run game, especially as you kind of saw throughout the game, this Auburn offensive line wasn't protecting Payton Thorne that well. So how do you respond to that? Hey, quick hitters, get the ball out quick to your guys in space and let them operate. Auburn just didn't seem to want to do that. You look at some of the numbers. Payton Thorne inside of 10 yards was 9 to 10 for over 70 yards. The offense was cooking when he went to some of those short intermediate concepts that weren't there last year because teams took that away from you. You didn't have an answer vertically down the field. Now you had an answer vertically down the field. Cal decided to take that away from you. You're supposed to be getting the ball to guys like Malcolm Simmons or running the football with Jarquez Hunter, and it seemed like Auburn never wanted to go to that. And look, I get Hugh Freeze way smarter than me in terms of scheming up an offense. The amount of light boxes Cal was given, the amount of success Auburn was having with the run game, I don't know why they didn't lean on that more throughout this football game, or it's some of the quick stuff, because that was there and it worked for Auburn, but they never wanted to go to it. I don't know. Maybe it had to do with going down 3 scores in that football game, but there was a lot of time in the second quarter and third quarter that it was a 1-score football game, and Auburn just never seemed to go those kind of things. And that was what was most frustrating with me. Now, the positives, I thought the defense played their tail off. Like, Keldrick Falk is going to be an All-American caliber guy this year and next year. I think you have a lot of young talent on this Auburn defense. This Auburn defense is legit. Because you look at Mendoza, I thought Mendoza, these Cal pass catchers played almost a perfect football game. I mean, there were a lot of plays that Cal made that were extremely impressive, and Auburn wasn't playing bad on defense. Cal just had some answers. Whenever you have only 286 total yards, it's hard to win football games. It's hard to put your Auburn defense in that kind of spot time in, time out. That was kind of the answer. And at some point, Cal was able to make some plays and put some points on the board. Auburn wasn't. Like to see Hank Brown. I would like to see if Hank Brown's a guy you can win with going forward. That's kind of where I sit. Frustrating performance. And you guys can tell I'm a little frustrated because I was kind of buying into this Auburn team. I was fired up for this program and what they could do. You still got a lot of football to be played. You have some talented pieces, especially young pieces, that you want to see kind of come together. The season's not over. Like, everything Auburn wants to do, I think, is in front of them as it pertains to the 2024 season. You want to see the young talent get some work. Let Hank Brown see and show you what he can do. Get your answer to the quarterback position. That's my take. Would love to hear from you guys in the comments section. Again, if y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys, whether it's positive talk about Auburn, whether it's not so positive, y'all always show up. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.